The canals have got so much to offer, I just really do find something fascinating about them. The Dudley number 2 canal has to be one of my favourite places to discover the history and explore. The Netherton tunnel has to be one of my favourites, stretching 1.7 miles, meeting the BCM main line, once used during the Industrial Revolution to relieve traffic from the nearby Dudley tunnel. Constructed in 1855, it was all built by men working by hand. It cost several lives to build the tunnel, causing several injuries. I just really do think it's an engineering marvel to how they really built it back in those days, and I must say it's a masterpiece of the Black Country to even still see this is even here. Once used back in the old days during the Industrial Revolution, Netherton Tunnel was horse-drawn, passing boats all the way through with towpaths on either side. This can still be seen inside Netherton Tunnel with passing points on either side, and also chain markers at various sections inside the tunnel. The bumble itself has faced many landscape changes from the Industrial Revolution, from mining, and also a railway that passed through the area, with a bridge that once stood over the canal which is no longer visible, only remaining with certain evidence across the canal line itself. So here we are, Windmill End Colliery. Look at these buildings, I mean really how old they are. You've got the stack. You could just imagine how far this would have dated back many years ago. It's just so interesting. So Cobb's engine house was officially known as Windmill End Colliery number 3 pit, latterly pumping station and used to remove water from the coal deep mines. It contained a James Watt beam engine capable of pumping in the region of 367,000 gallons of water per day into the canal at Netherton near the famous canal tunnel. The shaft itself was 525 feet deep. Wow, that's quite cool. Seeing how the water was pumped into the canal, that is really interesting. The mine pumping engine house was erected by Sir Horace St Paul circa 1831, later owned by Staffordshire Mines Drainage Commission. It was named after Farmer Cobb, who owned land in the area before the engine house was built. The Newcomen type was also here in use, but was removed from the site in 1928 and transferred to the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan, USA. So I actually did thought there was actually a part here at Windmill End that was taken all the way to the United States. I've heard people tell me about it many times before. So that's pretty much a Windmill End Colliery. But it is an interesting place. If you've never been down to the bungalow, it's definitely worth getting down to here and checking it out. It is a lovely site, and with the coal mine being here, you've got your Black Country history as well at the same time, as well as Netherton Tunnel, which is only a short walk down to the bottom. Both sides, picture on for you now, so you can see on this side a horse dragging a barge all the way through. But what I really find fascinating about Netherton Tunnel is the way it was constructed back in 1855 when they started constructing Netherton Tunnel. It took them around about a couple of years to complete. It was all done by hand. You imagine back then it was very hard work for them because they had to construct a perfect line going all the way through with many air shafts above. I know there was actually quite a lot of deaths during the construction of Netherton Tunnel, so it wasn't easy work back then. Imagine it was paid quite a lot to construct this. So here we are, this is Netherton Tunnel right away in front. You can see it stretches 1.7 miles. You imagine how the architecture, how they constructed all of this perfect rounds going all the way through. You can just see the two towpaths on either side, just going right away there. So the horses used to drag all the barges all the way through to here. You imagine it was all gaslit back in those times, then electric lit at once, with the aqueduct in Tiverdale actually powering Netherton Tunnel quite a while ago. that's 115. There is quite a lot of these within Netherton Tunnel. And there's just certain ones right away down onto the corner. And it's really cool to see. There's one of the chain markers right away here. In those days, it must have taken quite a while to come through the tunnel. You imagine the horses trying to pull the barges itself. It must have took a very, very long time. So here's another feature to Netherton Tunnel itself. This is actually where the horses used to back up into the wall. I always thought they led into some sort of tunnel system or another entrance out, but the horses used to back onto this side here in the corner to allow people to pass all the way through, or another horse to pass up and down. So that's actually what these are for. There's actually one on the opposite side once more, just over to there. And you just see. Notice it does skip a number of air shafts. Some of them have been filled in, and these are the ones that are actually remaining open. So what I find quite interesting is a rail bridge that went all the way across over the canal. There is evidence remains, what I have found, such as this bit in the photo, which is really cool to see. And I've also found some bits in the wall, as you can just see in this photo, a bit of metal sticking right the way out, giving evidence that this is possibly part of the railway bridge itself. So in this photo, this is where I believe the railway bridge went all the way over to meet the other side. So I have done a modern interpretation of what the bridge would have looked like if it was actually still there today. So this one's also a photo back in the old days of what the railway bridge looked like going all the way across to meet to the other side. So comparing to the old Ordnance Survey maps, we can see the railway bridge stretching all the way over to the other side, crossing the canal twice, which is really interesting. But not only that, I have noticed some interesting features across the canal where I believe the canal would have stretched further into loading wharfs or basins. A great example of a loading wharf is this one that you can see in the photo just at the moment. According to the old Ordnance Survey maps, this loading wharf had a railway incline that went all the way up to Robins or Colliery. The steel footbridges you do see at the bungalow were all made at the Horse Ironworks Company. Just under one of the Toll End Works bridges there is a canal off section that went all the way around in a loop. Looking at the old Ordnance Survey maps, you can see the canal looping all the way around, leading to some industry called windmill and boiler works, and then a loading wharf. Basically what it says, the bungalow lies in the southwest corner of the area. The origin of the name bungalow is uncertain. The word hole used in place names often refers to the water feature, and bumble describes the noise of humming of an engine or even the sound of running water. Oh well, that's really interesting. So if many of you didn't know that, that's actually what that is. Local legends suggest that an industrialist installed a steam-driven hammer in an ironclad building in the bottom of the pit, which is now the bungalow pool. The noise this hammer made sounded like a bumhole, and was referred by the locals as bumhole in the hole, later shortened to bungalow. That's really interesting. I never knew that. So you do learn quite a lot when you check out these history boards, some bits of information what's not on the internet. Harry Court's map of the parish of Dudley around 1780 shows a substantial property on the land referred to as bungalow. So the name bungalow predates much of the industrial use of the land. And to see where industry really began by having the remains of those buildings for people to understand. I just really do love it, and it is one part of the local area what I really do love.